So, Tedia, you talked about being an entrepreneur. So I just wanted to get a little bit more of both of y'all's story, because both of y'all are not like me. I'm a W-2 employee. Y'all are in the 1099 space of running your own thing, running your own business and all that kind of stuff. So I just want to ask y'all, how'd you get started with just putting all of that together? How has that been going? And then what are some of the challenges that you guys are facing doing that?
I'll go first. For me, like when I decided to quit my job, don't do this at home because I didn't have any plan, but because I still am at my mama's house and she provides shelter and food and everything. So I could like take my savings to go to start a business while I didn't invest anything in it, because it's just creating content and stuff like that. And everything I want to create or sell, like I have to create it myself. I don't need to put a big investment. So anyway, just all that to say that I would say like last year, 90% of last year was like making no money. It was just like having so much fun and finding things that make me happy. I tried everything. Like I tried freelancing, I tried Forex, I tried investing, social media, and I stick to some stuff and I let go some stuff. I tried drop shipping. I was just trying to find my way through things. And now I know what I want to do. Awesome. But yeah, it required just not making any money for a long time. And right now I think I came to a place to replace my old job, but it's not the money I want to it's not the perfect money I want to make. Like I still have money goals. So I'm still working to get there. And I know I'm going to get there maybe in X amount of time. It's not about the money, all of that just to say.
What about you, Taylor? I know, and you're like a super young entrepreneur out here in the streets you're like a superwoman up in these streets. So talk to us about that a little bit.
Yeah, first off, I want to say, like, in Tedia's situation, she literally quit her job at the bank, which is an extremely secure position. That is a position that you can really grow up on the ladder. And so for the audience, it's super important to think about like your value proposition, your risk versus reward. In Tedia's position is like, is this risk that I'm taking worth the reward? Or you can think about it the other way. If you're more monetary focused or money focused, is this reward worth the risk? Two different perceptions and way to look at it. And so the way in which I kind of looked at it was, again, the risk versus the reward, looking at my life. And so I really don't think I ever wanted to be, besides this whole neurosurgeon thing, besides that, I never wanted to be a part of a 9-to-5. I think that traditional work and friends and family and that I've seen growing up, they just hate their jobs and they have so much, they have families that they have to take care of. They have mortgages that they have to pay off and they're just so fucking unhappy. Like depression runs in my family and that is not something that I ever want to come near. And so trying to figure out my position in life was, okay, you got to have a lot of balls to do it and you got to give it your all. So when I was doing this whole social media thing, that was like more of a side hustle. I was working a full-time job doing bookkeeping at an industrial uniform rental company, but I quit that job when I started to make more income at what I was doing, my side hustles, rather than my like 9-to-5 per se, if you want to call it. Yeah. So it's just been such a crazy journey. And like Tedia, I think we've talked about this before, that I'm having a hard time conveying this. In order to achieve something at such a time like I or Tedia did, you have to give up something in life. Like for me, it was my social life. I wasn't talking to my friends for like the past 2 years. And only now this year have I really prioritized maintaining and growing relationships, because for the past 1.5 or 2 years, I kind of just like said, adios guys, I got to do my own thing, focus on what I'm doing, and when I get there I'll come back to you. And I'm like eventually coming back, but it's been a wild ride.
I think that's I like what you just said. It's like you got to count the cost of whatever decision that you end up taking, because like they say, it takes 10 years to be an overnight success. Nobody sees the work that you put in. Nobody sees the grueling hours that you guys are doing behind the scenes. All we see is, oh my God, they have 1 million subs, or oh my God, they have 1 million followers, or oh my God, like how did they all of a sudden just blow up? And it's like, Well, you didn't see all the work that they were doing in the background. You didn't see them going to their regular job and then coming home and hustling and doing everything else and just stressing themselves to the T to try and get to where they wanted to be. So yeah, I really like what you said of count the cost. Always count the cost of what the decision, and the risk to reward theory is something that I really preach about. Is sometimes to take that leap, sometimes you need a little bit of a safety net. You don't just want to take blind risks, because if you take blind risks, you're going to suffer the consequences of those risks.
Calculated is better.
Yep, exactly.
What Taylor said about the social life, actually, it's true that being an entrepreneur is making a lot of sacrifices, but it's true that at some point it'll eventually catch up to you, and you're gonna want to have a balance. And that's so important. It was the same for me too. Like I ditched a lot of my friends in social life, but then like I feel like if they're really your friends, they're gonna understand that you are like trying to do something for yourself, and they'll be patient. For me, my friends like waited for me to come back to them. Actually, after that, I'm going to see a friend. I decided to clear my schedule and be like, you know what? Let's put her first.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's good. Go ahead.
That's one thing that I've come such a long way with. Like back in high school, I had a really awesome like group of friends. I had a lot of friends back in high school. I was pretty extroverted, and I wasn't too shy. And so when I went through this transition of like focusing on my own path and like excelling so far, I have lost a lot of people. So instead of having 100 pennies, like now I have 4 quarters. If it makes sense, like those 4 quarters are valued at 25 cents and then the pennies are valued at 1. And so the people like Tedia in my life is like so much more valuable to me, and how I can serve them and how they can serve me, instead of like all of these like acquaintances that I used to have and that kind of thing. Yeah,
for sure. And I think that's going to keep happening. I know for sure for me, that's something like I have my closest friends that no matter what happens, if they call me, I'm dropping everything to go help them out in whatever they do. Or if they hit me up and it's like, yo man, I'm in town. It's like, I don't care what I'm doing. I'm definitely hanging out with them because they're like my ride or dies. But yeah, that definitely will happen over time. I think that's just natural, where you just have your true bonds, I guess is the way you put it. Those who are going to be with you, whether you're failing or you're succeeding or any of that stuff. So yeah, it's definitely part of the growth posture of going through life, and just understanding that not everybody needs to be, you don't need to be with everybody. Like there's some that just need to ride with you, but then it's not everybody that needs to be in the wagon with you. But now, just to close this out, let's talk about some of your future goals, or where do you guys see yourselves in like the next 5-10 years?
I hope you enjoyed that little snippet of the Rambling Mind podcast. If you want more of the Rambling Mind podcast, or if you want to listen to the whole episode that you just heard, go check it out on any podcast listening platform, whether that be Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Stitcher. I could go on, but you guys already know which podcast you love to use to listen to. So go check it out. Link down in the description as well. I'm gonna catch y'all later. Peace.